Okay, so welcome to today's class. And in this class, we are going to teach you the interface of Adobe Photoshop. Yes, this is where we are going to uh, let you understand how Adobe Photoshop looks like when you open it for the first time. Some of the things you are going to see and what the tools you'll be seeing are meant for, what they are there for, the purpose of those tools. So we are going to teach you the purpose of those tools. You are going to know the names of the tools and what you are going to be using those tools for. So without wasting my time, let's get into class and learn something. Okay, so basically this is how Photoshop interface looks like. When you open your Photoshop for the first time, that's how it will look like. It may not look as mine is because we may be using different versions, but then similarly, this is how it should look like. And the reason why you are seeing this is because I have been working on certain flyers, and so you could see my recent works, things I've worked on recently. But because you are opening Photoshop for the first time, you may not see what I am saying. Meanwhile, you should get an interface like this. So let's try to set up what we call setting up a document. Setting a document. Now, in setting a document, what it actually means is that in every design, you need a size you are going to work with. So, depending on what you are working on, if you are working on a flyer, you need a size. If you are working on a banner, you need a size. If you are working on a brochure, letterhead, you need a particular size that befits what you are working on. So, in setting up a document, it's just um, making sure that what you are working on has the right size. So, for example, you are working on a brochure. It means that you need to know the size for a brochure and then you set up the size. Now, how do we set up the size? You simply have to go to File, and when you click on File, you see New, and then you see Open. New here means you are now going to set a new document. If you go to Open, it means that you have an already designed project you want to bring it into your Photoshop so that probably you uh, do some few editing changes in it or whatsoever. But if you are going to design a new thing, then I suggest you go to new. So you click on new, and this is what you should see. So when this appears on your screen, what you have to do is that you have to look at the size you are going to use. And as you can see, is in inches. When you click on it, you see the other dimensions. You see pixels, you see centers, centimeters, you see millimeters, you see points and stuff. We are going to stick to inches. Normally, when you are working on a flyer for web, you are going to design on a flyer you'll be using on the website. Normally, we use pixels. Pixels is the smaller one, the smallest one. Let me say it that way. And so you use pixels. And so, um, for instance, we are using inches in this tutorial. So let's choose the width and then choose the height. In this tutorial, we are choosing 10 inches for the width and we are choosing 10 inches for the height. Resolution depends on the size of what you are working on. If your size is very big, your resolution should be small. If it is very small, your resolution should be big. And on top, below, just below the preset details, you will see untitled one. This is where you write the name of the project you are working on. So, for instance, we are working on a flyer, so you write flyer here. You maintain RGB color. RGB color, you maintain it. If it's going to be printed at a printing press, large format, when you send it to the printing press, the designer himself will change it to CMYK. But if you are just designing for social media and stuff, I advise that you maintain RGB color. And then your background content should also be maintained as white. Maintain all these things here. And then you go to create. The moment you click on create, this is what you should see. You should see something like this on your screen. You should see something like this on your screen. This is the tools you are going to use to work in Photoshop. These are the tools. These are the tools. You have the move tool. It gives you the ability to move things from or on the workspace. This is your rectangle tool. This also gives you the opportunity to select a shape in the rectangle. For instance, you have a picture on there. Let's bring in a picture. Let me see. Let's try and bring in a picture. Where are my stock images? Okay. So assuming we are bringing in this picture to our Photoshop like this. Okay. And then we want to use the rectangular mark tool. So I can decide to select the area I want. So I can stand here, drag it just like I'm cropping an image, and then release it. The moment I release it, I can decide to right click and then use layer via copy. The moment I do this, I have taken or I have copied that area that I applied that rectangular mark to. So let's go to our layers. Layers is actually where whatever you are going to do in Photoshop will be recorded. So you could see two layers here. One is the actual image we brought in, and then the second one is what we did when we used the rectangular mark tool. So you can see some kind of eye symbol here. This actually means layer visibility. So if I click on it like this, it means that I've hidden this very layer. If I click on it again, it means that I've made it visible. So when you click on this, when I hide this one, you realize that the one we cropped using the rectangular mark tool is showing, is visible. So let's look at the difference. Look at this and then look at this. You realize that there has been a change. So that is basically how we use the rectangular mark tool. Now let's look at the elliptical mark tool. This one also works in the form of an ellipse. So you can just draw a circle like this and then apply the same method, layer via copy. And then when you hide this one, you get a form of a circle. This is how it works. Now the lasso tool. The lasso tool also is a form of a freehand cropping. Tool. It makes freehand selection. So you can just stand here and press hold and then just drag it. Just drag it freehand. It will just select the area where you drag. That is basically how the lasso tool also works. Now let's look at the polygonal lasso tool. That one also works like the freehand something. This is how it also works. But they are all selection tools. They are all selection tools. Now let's move to quick selection. This is actually what you'll be using for some cropping. Some of the pictures, if you want to crop them, you can be using this quick selection tool to do the cropping. So you just have to just stand on the picture, press hold your mouse down, and then drag it to the area where you want to, the subject you want to maintain. So just drag it like this. Just drag it like this. And then it will select all the areas you want to maintain. The areas you want to maintain. This is one of the ways we crop, we take backgrounds of images. One of the ways we take backgrounds of images. So assuming we want to, the selection has affected the image, so we want to take it off. We want to take part of the selection off. So what we do is that we click on the minus, and then we click on the plus, and then we add. If you want to bring it close, then you use the minus. So this is basically how this one also works. And then the magic one actually selects the areas that are the areas that has the same color. Let me say it that way. I mean, you could see that the background is a kind of ash white color. And so the moment we use the magic wand, it has affected the shirt he's wearing because the shirt also looks white. That is basically how this one also works. And we have the crop tool. This one is in a lot of um, photo editors, even on phones. I know most of us have come across this very tool called the cropping tool, crop tool. This one is something that many people have come across it. So that is how it also works. You just drag the area you want, and then you pick it, and you leave the unwanted part. That is the cropping tool. So the crop tool also gives you the opportunity to trim or expand the edges of an image. You can just take the ones you want and then delete the one you don't like. Now we have the eyedropper tool. For instance, someone has given you an assignment, a work to do. The person told you that I want you to work on something for a flyer for me, but I would want you to use the colors in my logo. So maybe the colors in the logo are red and yellow. I want you to use the colors in my logo. You don't know the color number for red and yellow, so you can just bring in the logo. Let's say, let me try bringing in Achievers logo. Okay, let me bring yeah, Achievers logo. Right, let's Achievers logo. Okay. So this is Achievers logo, like this. So the person says that he wants the colors in this logo for the flyer he wants you to design for him. So what you will do is that you will click on the eyedropper tool, and then when you stand on the color, when you bring it on the color and you click, you realize that it will pick the color. It will pick the color here and show it here. So when I decide to type, it will pick the colors. Will the typing I will do, the color of the text will be the color of what we pick from the logo. That is how this one also works. Now the spot healing brush tool. This is what we use to clean pimples from faces. We use it to clean spots from, maybe you are working on an image, the person has spots, black spots on his face, and the person says that he doesn't want the spot to appear on his face, so he wants you to remove it for him. This is what you use to remove spot. This is what we use to we use this one tool to remove spot. Healing brush, so you can use it to remove pimples from people's faces. Even with the patch tool, they almost work the same way. The content aware move tool, they almost work the same way. And then we have the brush tool. This brush tool, for instance, we want to bring in something. Let me see. I want to bring in another color, but we don't want to use the rectangular tool. So we just click on the brush tool, pick the color we want, zoom the size of the brush here, and then just click on the workspace. You see that the red color will appear here. Now let's move to the eraser tool. The eraser tool, just like the name goes, is what you can use to erase subjects. Erase subjects. This is what you use to erase subjects. If I increase the size of the eraser, you realize that it will erase. So this is how the eraser tool also works. So imagine you have a particular spot on the image and you want to take it off. You don't want it's a spot that will not affect the image itself. You can use the eraser tool, but if it will affect the image, then you have to use the patch or the spot healing brush. This is a gradient tool. This one gives you the opportunity to apply multiple colors on the background. On the background, it gives you the opportunity to apply multiple colors on the background. So basically, we will not use all these tools, but have to give you a brief on some of these tools so that you have an idea what they are and what they can be used for. So this is the pen tool, and pen tool, before you can use pen tool, you need to master the usage, and that will be in another class. And this is your text. This is what you may be using very often, because this is what will give you the opportunity to write. So if you want to text, if you want to write a text, if you want to write something, first of all, you need to check the color here. The color here is your foreground, the color here is your background. So your foreground, when you are typing, it will pick the color of your foreground. So assuming we are typing something here, just click on the workspace like this, and then begin to type something. Begin to type something. You realize that it is very small. You click on the correct sign here, meaning you accept it. When you click OK, you go to move to, you stand at the edges and drag it like this. You realize that the color is in red. The reason why it's in red is because we have already chosen red here as the foreground. So anything I will write on the workspace or the document, it will appear as red. Now that we have it in the form of red, we want to change it. Let me just bring, when you go to Windows, you can just select character. Yes, this is character. This is where you have the opportunity to change the color of the text. So realize that the color of the text is in red. You want to change it to maybe black. Just click on it like this. Change it to any color you want, and it will appear, or it will reflect here. So the text tool here is what you use to, this is what you'll be using to write all your text. For instance, we don't want the text to go horizontal, we want it to go vertically. So I can click on the vertical text tool, stand here, and then begin to type. You realize that it will go vertically. Let me zoom it and you'll see how the whole thing looks like. So this is how the whole thing looks like vertically for the text tool. Now this rectangle tool, ellipse tool, triangle tool, polygon tool, line tool, custom shape tool is also very important. Assuming we want to draw a shape that is in the form of a rectangle, you can just click on the rectangle tool and then draw the shape like this. Draw the shape like this. Okay, so the shape is in red color. So this is your shape. This is your shape. This is your shape. Okay, let's take the logo off to get the screen is kind of crowded. So let's take the logo off. Let's take the logo off. Okay, let's take the achievers off. And then this is your rectangle tool. I told you that anytime you want to move the subject on the sheet or your workspace, you have to click on it, and then it should be on move, so that you can be able to move it with your mouse. Move it with your mouse like this. Okay, so now we have the rectangle tool like this. Assuming we don't want rectangle tool, we want something circular. So we can click here, choose the ellipse tool, draw your circle like this. Assuming we don't want the circle, we want something rectangle, something triangle. So you can just click on the triangle. You may not have triangle in your Photoshop. It depends on the kind of Photoshop you are using. But then if you have it, why not? You can just try and draw something. and then you have the polygon like this, the polygon like this. So all these shapes can be useful in your own design. It depends on what you'll be working on, but you may need all the shape. For instance, we have this shape, but we want to change it to a different shape. We can just right click on it like this, select the rectangle, stand here, click like this, select it, and then go to any of this. You can choose warp. When you select warp, you can stand here. The moment you realize that the cursor has changed to a different color, you can just right press hold and then drag it like this to any shape, kind of shape you want, to any shape you want, any kind of shape you want, any kind of shape you want. So this will be your hand your hand tool. This will be your hand tool. You can just use it to pick things from the workspace. This will be your zoom tool. This is what you'll be using to zoom items. Sometimes when you are working on something and it's very small, you have to really zoom it to see how things are going on the screen so that you can be able to have a nice design. So that is how the zoom tool also works. So basically, these are most of the things you are going to be using: your move tool, your eclipse tool, your lasso tool, your crop tool, your text tool, your eraser tool, your pen tool, your zoom tool, your eyedropper tool. All these colors, you are going to be using them. You are going to be using, depending on what you'll be working on. Depending on what you'll be working on, you are going to be using them one after the other. There are instances where you'll be doing a particular design and you may not need most of the tools. Meanwhile, every design and the kind of tools you will need in doing that particular design. Every design and the kind of tools you will need for working on that particular design. So let's come to the layers. The layers. This is where whatever you do on the workspace, this is where it will appear. So for instance, let me draw a rectangle shape like this. You realize that the moment I did it, you realize that it has appeared here. It has appeared here. And I told you that this thing stands for visibility. So the moment I click on it, it means I am hiding the rectangle. When I click on it again, I am making it visible. I am making it visible. So anything you do on this workspace will appear here. It will appear on your layer. So that anytime you want to do some changes, you can just come to the layer and then do the change. Assuming we don't want the red color, we want to change it. You can just double click on it like this, and then you can change the color to any color you want. Any color you want. So this is where you can be doing your changes. If I draw an eclipse or a circle like this, you realize that it will also come here. It will also come here. So anything I do on this, if I try to write some text, if I try to write something, if I try to write something, press your correct sign, click on move, and then begin to drag. You realize that that one too will show here. So anything we do on the workspace here will come at the layer section. Whatever you do here, if you bring in picture, you will see it here. Anything you do on the layer, anything you do on the workspace will come at the layer section. So that when you are working with it, you will not struggle so much. You will not struggle so much. Now let's see something at this place. For instance, you are done working with this and you want to save it or export it. You want to make sure you have saved it for use. You can use it on your WhatsApp status, Facebook and stuff. you have to first of all save it to JPEG. So you click on File, go to Save As or Export. So you can go to Save As. Because we already named it, the name has come here. So what that we will have to do is to save as type. So we choose as the type we are saving it to. In this case, we are saving it to JPEG. So I can click on JPEG. JPEG means image. So I can just click on JPEG, select the location you want the flyer to go, and then when you are done, you just click on save. You just click on save like this, and you are good to go. Just click on OK, and you are good to go. Assuming you want to maintain, you want to make in such a way that anytime you want to change something in this work, you can be able to do it. So you have to save it to PSD file. So you click on Save As, then you make sure it is on Photoshop PSD, PDD, PSDT. With this, you can open it at any time and then do the correction you want to do. So those who have designed for some time, if you could remember, realize that there are times where you will tell me I should just do certain correction on a flyer, and I will tell you that I've lost the actual work. What it means is that I don't really have this one that I can easily make changes to. I only have the image, and so I can't easily make changes to the image. But if I have the actual work that I exported to image, I can easily make changes to the actual work. The actual work. I know and I believe that you are picking up. So now let's try to design something. You are going to design something which will be submitted. So let's try to design something. We are bringing the rectangle tool. I told you the rectangle tool comes with a color, and it picks the color that is at the foreground. So the color at the foreground is already red. So when I draw my rectangle tool here, when I use my rectangle here and I release it, the color will be red. Now what do I do if I want to change it? If I want to change it, I told you that you go to the layer, here, click on the layer, and then you click that small box, there, double click on it, and then the color picker will show. Select the color you want, press OK, then you are good to go. Now we are going to write something on it. I told you if you want to type, you use the text tool. So click on the text tool. Don't stand on the workspace and type. Just click outside, because we have already applied a shape on it. So you have to stand outside like this and then begin to type. Let's say I am Enoch Mensah. Okay, I am Enoch Mensah. Press on the correct sign, go to move, stand here, and then stretch it. Bring it to the middle like this. Now, remember in the first video I spoke about elements of a good design, and I spoke about color. And so you realize that black cannot appear very well on blue. And so what do? We have to change this color to a color that will appear very well on blue. In this case, we either double click on the text here and then pick the color here, change it to maybe white or yellow. So realize that, press OK. Realize that white can appear very well on blue. Now we want to write I am Enoch Mensah and I'm a graphic designer. So you are going to also write your name and then write you're a graphic designer. We don't want to apply the text tool again. We just want to get a copy of this and then just rename it and make it uh, I'm a graphic designer. So let's press on Control J, press on Control and then press J, and then drag it from it. You realize that it has duplicated. So this is how you duplicate in Photoshop, and then you name it to what you want. So my name is I am Enoch Mensah. I'm a graphic designer. So I am a graphic design, graphic designer. Okay, so you can click here, bring it to the middle like this. You can lower, reduce the font size. Okay, bring this one here like this. Okay, so today this is what we are going to do. You are going to create your workspace. The size should be 10 inches by 10 inches. The resolution should be at 300, and then your background should be any background, but make sure you write I am, you write your name, and then I am a graphic designer. Save it to JPEG, save it to save it to JPEG, and then also save it as PSD. Also save it as PSD, PSD, PSD. So thank you for joining us for today's class, and I believe that you have learned so much. What I will tell you is that whatever we have learned today, practice it so that you become perfect. Practice it so that you become perfect. See you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Press on subscribe and then click on the bell. Click on the bell to subscribe. We'll meet again in our next video. God bless you.